Hey everyone, it is Monday, June 18th, 2018, and this is the stockpickprofits.com market update. So let's go ahead and get started. It was kind of an eventful day today. It was a little boring, but it was eventful. Market opened up down 200 points, over 200 points. Looked like it was just going to go into the crapper at the open. Then it ended up closing. The Dow ended up closing down about 100 points. The NASDAQ turned green. And the S&P wasn't far behind. The S&P 500 down about 5 points, not even 0.25%. So it was an interesting day, right? It was an interesting trading day. Probably the day traders had a lot of fun today. As a service, we didn't do a whole lot of moving. We're kind of in picks right now, and we're just letting them gel out. So, basically what happened with the market today is that weekend news just kind of built up and built up and built up and built up. And yeah, you guys, as you show up, man, make your hellos in the comments. Let us know where you're from. Let us know if you're trading, if you want to learn. Say a little bit about it yourself while we're doing the little market update. And then we'll get right to the questions in the comments and stuff. So like we said, the market opened blood red. There was a lot of talk over the weekend, right, about trade wars. I mean, it was just trade war, trade war, trade war. When it wasn't trade war, it was immigration. So we're not going to get into this immigration discussion. But as far as the market, it was an interesting day. It showed a lot of resiliency in the market. It showed a lot of strength. Looks like this rally is going to continue. So if you're not positioned, make sure you get positioned. Our market outlook going forward, just from today's trading, we think we're still in a bull. The bull market's still alive and well. The NASDAQ, of course, we saw a real resiliency. The big thing in the NASDAQ today were the chip stocks. There's a lot of biotech movement too. But biotechs were kind of internal today. A lot of M&A activity and things like that. Biogen, one of their competitors, came out with a good clinical trial, which is a competing product. And Biogen kind of just went in the tank, and there's a lot of movement on the small biotechs. We're in a couple biotech plays right now with the service. So if you don't have some exposure to biotechs, they've been beaten up for a while. They're kind of like banks were going into 2016, right? The sector is kind of beaten up. Nobody's interested in it. Every time it gets some footing, it loses it. It looks like it's starting to stabilize now. Maybe the base for a rally has been built. So, really the only non-market news we're going to mention is, it's kind of interesting story developing in these midterms, right? First of all, it looks like the midterms are going to be as fun as the 2016 presidential election. So, which is unusual, right? Midterms, usually you're not able to get as much interest from voters and stuff like that. So it looks like there's going to be a good turnout. It looks like all the sides have got their swords drawn and they're at it and they're ready to go at it in the back and forth. And that's where this immigration thing plays. And just remember something with this immigration. This has been going on for a long time. What they're laying on Trump and stuff. And yes, Trump is the president of the United States, and it is his job to fix this and to fix it right now. He did it, they did it, is not an excuse for letting this continue. So we'll see how President Trump handles this going forward. But the other big announcement from Trump today was he wants to make a space military. So I guess that's sixth force. You got the Army, Navy, Air Force, blah, 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 Marine Corps. Now we're going to have the Space Force. So that should be interesting, right? I mean, look, especially with this younger generation, right? They're so into the space programs and stuff. And this is right up their alley, right? I mean, we're going to look to, I guess, colonize the moon. Who knows what he's thinking? Anyways, so let's talk a little bit about what we're playing. It's been a interesting day today. It's been an interesting couple weeks. The market had those big sell downs carrying over from the end of April, and it's kind of recovered. And it looks like it's almost a little V bottom, but it's still tread with caution, play with caution. It's not a broad-based rally that's going on right now. There are losers out there. It's not like it was 2 years ago where you basically threw a dart at the board and whatever you hit was winning. We're still in that gold hedge, and we're going to keep that. This morning, look, we're using gold, that hedge too, as kind of a constant indicator. And what I mean by that is, we've got that little hedge in gold, and it's just a small hedge, and it goes way out. So we got plenty of time on it. But like, look at this morning when the market opened up blood red, and all the news cycle was just anti-market, anti-everything, right? And what happened was the market started catching some footing. Well, when the market opened, as a service and as traders, we didn't panic. The VIX never really popped over 14 very strong. It was over 14. It closed under 13. It was up about 14% at the open. It ended up closing up about 2-3%. So we were watching the VIX, right? There was no panic. There was no panic selling. Yeah, it was a big, ugly red number, but it wasn't panic selling. So we looked at our gold hedge, and guess what? It wasn't even moving. I mean, there's still that argument going on out there that we don't agree with, that Bitcoin and gold are kind of like the antithesis for the market, right? Where they people are using them as flights to safety. But Bitcoin had an okay day today. I think it was up about $200, but gold ended up closing down red. So we still think all systems are go. The VIX closed below 13 again. My goodness. We've been talking about it the last few days too, about we're short the dollar on UUP, and it keeps failing at that $25 level, and that's what we're expecting. In fact, let's go look at a real quick quote here. So it closed at 24.97. So as long as it stays below that 25, we think that's the top. We think it's topping right now, and we think that is the top 25. We could be right, we could be wrong, right? If you like the way we play and you want to play along with us, there's a link on the bottom. But hey, it's Monday. Everybody's kind of getting back up to speed after a great weekend, Father's Day. Hope all you fathers had a great Father's Day. Please don't be like the politicians and celebrities and anybody else in the media and stuff. If you know a father, just wish them happy Father's Day. Leave the politics aside. We're all proud of our children. Hopefully our children are all proud of us. Just show a little appreciation. But Marcos, hey, Marcos is a regular. Hey, Marcos, good to have you. Roland is here. Good morning, Roland. Actually, it's evening on the mainland, and it's afternoon here. So, well, actually 10:30, and it's close enough, Roland. We expected kind of a sluggish day today because it's Monday, right? Everybody's kind of just getting into it. And so, look, if you guys have any questions, we'll close with something. What we want to talk about is one of the things we talk about all the time. And the trading team wanted to talk about it on the show today. So, look, patience. We always talk about it, right? With trades and pulling the trigger and how you handle things. Patience is your biggest one of your biggest assets, right? You have to have patience to follow your buy program. If you don't follow your buy program, you're just a mess, right? You might be hitting trades, but you're not making money, and you just can't figure it out, right? I sat on my glasses today. Sorry, gang. It's crooked. But, we wanted to talk about patience because the trade team wanted me to share this because they enjoy it. So look, on a normal day, because all these kids are working at computers, right? Watching charts, watching trends, and, following the news cycle and stuff. We have an office rule. It's called the 50-10 rule. Okay. And what that means is for every 50 minutes that they have to spend on a computer, they're forced to take a 10-minute break. And that's every hour. That's not, I'm busy this hour, so I'm going to work straight through and then I'll take 20 minutes. No. It's every hour. There's 50 minutes of work and 10 minutes of away from the computer. And it's not pull up your Facebook and stuff. It's stand up and go stretch your legs, stretch your neck, because you guys know the detriments of being at a computer too much. And this also plays to their patience too, right? Because it forces them for 10 minutes to step away. right? Regardless of what you're doing. And I'll literally go around and, hey, you've been at it 50 minutes, get off the computer. And it forces them to be patient, right? Well, guess what? When we have a day like today, what we do is we do the 10-50 rule. What's that mean? 10 minutes at the computer, 50 minutes away, right? Why? Because today is for as lethargic as it was and uneventful. There's kind of a stealth rally, right? We were down, 250 points to start. We ended up down 100 on the Dow. That's a stealth rally. It didn't really just pop. It wasn't really news driven or anything. It was just kind of people were finding buy points and they were buying, right? And it just gradually pulled back, moved back to positive. Like we said, the Dow ended up down about 100. The S&P down about 5-6 points, which is nothing compared to what it opened at. And guess what? The NASDAQ closed green. So today is a day where I make them do the opposite. I'd make them do 10-50. Why? The times you will make your biggest mistakes are in these dull markets and stuff, right? I mean, you start seeing things kind of bouncing. There's a lot of head fakes from stocks. We watched it with Bank of America today. Bank of America in the middle and started off the day well under $29. And then it started moving back up. It actually made it take a shot at $29.50. That's where you can make mistakes, right? If you had bought it at $29.50, well, it just kind of circled right back. So we do the opposite of it. So remember that, all you bosses and all you employees, man, you tell your boss that, you tell them about the 50-10 rule. Every 50 minutes at the computer, you take 10 minutes away. And you'll find that your posture is better, your back feels better, your neck feels better, your brain feels better. And that's our advice for you today. So let's get to the questions and comments. And because the party can start now, because Sana from Sweden is here. What's up, Sana? It's okay. It's okay, Sana. We're low key on the show. So if you're a little late, you're a little late. You didn't really miss anything today, Sana, anyways. It's kind of a lethargic day, trading day, and things are just kind of, like we said, it started off blood red. Very encouraging day, though. That Dow never was able to get over okay, Sierra, those yeah. Okay, this is kind of an in-group question, Savar, because we don't want to share too much proprietary information. But I will tell you this, on that buy list, as long as the price is below and it's marked as long as the current price is below the limit price that we say, and we have it listed as a buy, it's a buy. Okay? But you guys that are in the group, be careful with those information. Okay, those questions should be for the within the group. We don't want to give away any stuff like that. Just kidding, Savar. I mean, it's we've talked about it before, right? We were talking about Pandora, I think, on the show. And if we weren't, hey, the cat's out of the bag. We're short Pandora. We don't like the streaming media, and we don't like the streaming media space. We think it's just not a real profitable thing. Nobody's really figured it out. And we also talk about, too, that it's like, that streaming media is like crabs in a bucket, man. These guys, look at iHeartRadio. I mean, it was just massive 10 years ago, right? And I think it went bankrupt. We don't really watch the streaming media. There's a couple stocks in it, and we saw something in Pandora. Pandora actually had a good day today, though. If you're just getting into the play, you got a good price today, Savar. So yeah, get in. And we're still on that play. We're still expecting it to kind of break down real quick. So, and can I pick your brain up? Yeah, absolutely, Marco. Go ahead, post your question. Let's see if we can figure it out. But yeah, Marco, go ahead. Post your question about interest rates. And no worries, Savar. Just remember, kind of the proprietary stuff we want to keep within the group, because you guys pay for that. You guys pay good money for that. So, I don't want you guys giving away your good stuff. But like I said, Savar, cat's out of the bag. Everybody on the planet now knows we're short Pandora. Go buy it. No, don't buy it. Short it. Excuse me. And yeah, Marco, if you want to go ahead and post your question about interest rates, I'll be happy to see if I can figure it out. Interest rates, the big it's hard to tell. I mean, really, that whole scenario is just playing out right now. Look, what happens with, I know, Savar, I love you, man. You keep coming to the show, Savar. We always have fun, man. Look, debt is an interesting thing. When people buy the U.S. debt, they buy U.S. debt because they're confident in the United States. They know we can repay our debt, things like that, right? Even in the lower tiered credit markets, right? Debt buying and selling is really one of your most profitable things, right? So yeah, you're right. Russia came out this morning. I think they have their position on it. China's murmured about it, but hasn't really pulled the trigger. Japan, you got to remember, they have to be. Look, they're messing with their own balance sheet as much as they're messing with ours when they buy and sell debt. Okay. Now, let me ask you this, Marco. Okay. If, say, stock pick profits was a stock and it's $10, okay, you bought it at $10, and now it's good things are happening with stock pick profits, but you don't like me. You don't like me. You hate my guts, right? So, and you know it's going to keep going up, but you sell it because you don't like me, right? So what happens? Who are you punishing on that? I'm telling you guys, we can get into a long discussion and let's over the week talk more and more about interest rates, but they're hurting their own balance sheet as much as they're hurting ours. And actually they're not hurting ours because we'll just spin it off to someone else. We'll just cancel it. There's way different things. So while that is important, one, the effect of it is a little longer term, mid to long term. Bam. Words to live by. Bam. Thank you, Marco. Words to live by. I think with my wallet. Me too. You know, you guys see that because like Marco, Savar, Sana, the regulars rolling and all that. You know, there's a lot of things that we like about Donald Trump. And in that liking about Donald Trump, we kind of get lumped into this big characterization, right? We get lumped into that. But look, you know, it's stock take profits. We think with our wallets too. You know what I mean? The minute Donald Trump was elected president, you know, we wanted the country to succeed. We want 4% GDP. We want lowest interest rate. We want the lowest unemployment rate in the history. We want more jobs than people. You know, we want all that things. You know, there's other things that come along with him though, right? I mean, he inherited some problems. Maybe he's in a way created some problems, but above and beyond, Marco, we are just like you. And that's why we're going to leave that comment up there for a little while for everybody to see. I think with my wallet, that's right. I got a belly to fill. I got a son that I got to fill his belly. I got school to pay for. I got college. My feelings about Donald Trump personally, you know, I'm in love with my wallet. They bought our debt in exchange for having huge deficits with the bam. There you go. That's a good point too, and that's what we're going to expound on a little bit. And as we come during the week and we continue this discussion, is that look, there's a big trade thing going on right now. I don't want to use the W word, trade war, because really, you know, this is a typical Trump way of dealing with things. He kind of makes the situation implode, right? He likes to just destroy it. It's the old Marine Corps thing, right? Remember, they recruit somebody, you break him down to he's not even a human being, then you build him up into a man. That's Trump's style with negotiating, right? Just blow the deal up and start from zero. It looks like that's what he's thinking with trade. He put these tariffs out, and all these other countries are firing back with more tariffs. With that, I think what he's doing is then we get everybody to the board, and then we have negotiations. I mean, supposedly, if you listen to the news cycle a few months back, he was already negotiating with Z and stuff. So that's a big thing we need to see too, because look, people buy and sell debt all the time. One of the biggest marketing techniques that we see out there is, how people come out and say, oh, this month, $20 billion came out of ETFs. People are running from the stock market. Come on. You think nobody bought it? it's easy to characterize this debt sale one way or the other, but really there's a lot of moving parts in it, Marco, and that's why you make some great points. So what's going to happen is now, trade does have a big effect on debt, and why you buy it and why you exchange it and stuff like that in other countries. Let's remember too that the United States is carrying a lot of countries' debt too. What if Trump gets a hair up his, and says, hey, we're going to start dumping your debt, right? And look, above all, we're going to tell you this right now. The United States of America's economy is the tide that floats all boats. And that works in reverse too. Yeah, absolutely. It affects the cost of the debt, So, and generally debt, man, usually if you can carry it a little longer, you'll make a little more money on it. That's kind of a complex formula, but with the debt, I mean, I'm trying to keep it real simple. But basically that's where we are with the debt. Like when we saw that article this morning about Russia selling half its debt that it's carrying on U.S. treasuries, I don't know. Didn't really, and the market didn't take it poorly either. I mean, what hurt the market at the open this morning was that heavy news cycle on this trade. The media is really pounding the crap out of that, man. That and immigration right now. I mean, you can't even turn on your TV without seeing kids in cages or talk about trade wars, right? I mean, that's pretty much what it's come down to right now. So, I mean, the cost of the debt, there's a lot of factors that play into that. The cost of the debt, the profitability of the debt, the liquidity of the debt, things like that. A lot of times, what if these countries are using that debt as a hedge on something? I mean, there's a lot of ways you use debt. Debt is a really, really complicated thing. Anybody that's had a charge card closed out knows about debt, right? You know how complicated it is. I mean, if you have a hard time in your life and you default on a credit card and you don't pay it off, say for 5 years, you might go through 5 or 6 closing houses, right? I mean, all of a sudden, oh, we bought the debt, you owe us the money. We bought the debt, you owe us the money. That is a really complex thing. So we're going to keep this discussion going over the week, Marco, because the team, I'll have them research some stuff so we can simplify this down. We can give you that old Wharton freaking explanation, but who wants that? People at Wharton don't want to hear that. But we just keep it real simple. Let's start the discussion with this, Marco. Yeah, we know Russia is selling their debt. We know China and some other countries carry a lot of debt. Let's discuss over the week how we think that that sale of debt is gonna affect the United States balance sheet going forward, right? How do the markets feel about it? Ultimately, Marco, I'll tell you this. If you're going to think like this, then the only thing you care about is how the market interprets it, right? You hear us talk about that all the time in the group, how the market interprets things. If the market like you, then we like you. But, I mean, somebody on, I think it was, I forget what we were watching this morning, but one of the Congress people was out there talking about these midterms coming up and how they felt that they were going to shake out, because they are They are starting to get really, really interesting, right? The midterms. Midterms are usually really boring. Even if there's exciting races, they're usually pretty boring. But no worries, Marco. That's what we're here for, man. We're gonna discuss this all week, Marco. Okay, so you keep coming back, and all of you guys watching, you guys keep coming back, because we're gonna simplify this for everybody, and then we're all gonna learn together. So. But start thinking about that, Marco. Start thinking of really, just off the top of your head, without Googling anything or reading about how debt affects countries and things like that. Just think, what do you think it's going to do to the market going forward? Because like I said, remember, if we're going to think like this and we're going to get to this, then we only care what the market likes. Okay. So how do you think the market will digest that? Do you think it affected the market today? Personally, I don't. I think today was affected strictly by that news cycle on the trade war. And again, we don't like to use the W word. It's still early in that too. I mean, we're going to tariff you. We're going to tariff you. We're going to tariff you. Boys acting like children. But like we said, that's Trump style, right? Just like the old Marine Corps recruitment, and Trump's a hard ass, just like the old Marine Corps. You break it down to zero and then you build it up. So look, guys, this is a great Monday, right? We've got our subject for the week. We're going to keep going on the interest and the debt discussions. Yes, and we are following that closely. But just to close with Marco, we'll keep discussing the debt, because as we go along this week, we'll find some useful information on it and stuff. We didn't really look into it that much, Marco. We saw the headline. At least on my personal side, is I saw the headline: Russia selling half its debt. It just didn't strike me as being very important. So, you know what I mean? It's something I'll read about tonight and stuff. But we're going to continue this discussion, Marco. With regards to the marijuana plays, it would be interesting to see what a new Congress would do with that Warren bill. Yeah, well, and that's hard to tell, Savar, because you know how these guys are. They always say one thing to get elected, and then when they get in there, it's always an excuse, right? I'm going to do this. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to fix that. Then when they get in, it's, I can't do it because of them. I can't do it because of this. I can't do it. I wanted to do it, but I couldn't do it. That's called full of, you know what? But it's interesting to see. Now, look, here's the thing about these midterms, okay? And blue waves, blue ripples, red waves, whatever you're going to talk about. For the most part, people are going to reelect people. Okay. As a country, we've done this for decades and decades and decades. For some reason, we sit around for 3-4 years and we bitch and moan about how nothing's changing, nothing's getting better. And then when it comes to election time, we go and reelect the same people. Okay. And that should be our first red flag, right? As Americans. I mean, if we keep electing the same people, we keep getting the same results. That's called insanity, right? So let's see how these midterms shake out. But I think regardless of what happens with these midterms, I think the Warren bill has enough support that it'll probably be a tough push, but I think they can get it through. It seems like the Trump administration is on board now. They're starting to realize the benefits and what they can get out of it. It would be really a sad day for the Trump administration, right? If they came out and they almost got their 4% GDP, and maybe that billions of dollars that they could have got from pot revenue would have been the difference, right? But we're so stuck on reefer madness that we won't legalize it. So we're watching that Warren bill. You know, Savar, you're in the group, and we've got a couple marijuana plays going on right now. We're actually looking at other ones as we get closer to when we think that industry, and we think that sector is getting close, very close. Something is going to happen soon that's going to blow the top off it. We're not sure what it is, but we think there's going to be a big, huge rally sometime soon in marijuana. So you want to be in a couple really good picks. Like with the service, I will say this without giving away any proprietary information. Right now in the service, we're in 2 marijuana plays, right? One is a complete turnkey solution with viable products and a web presence that actually you can speak to a professional and you can find out the CBDs and the treatments that work for whatever is ailing you. It's really a nice, complete company. It's a young company. They're just starting to get some good revenue and stuff, but they've got some strategic agreements with and stuff. It's a company that we as a service have already verified. We've had somebody show up at their headquarters to make sure that it's not just a door with a sign on it in some broken down neighborhood. We have called their investor relations, and asked them questions, and we're very confident about that one. And we just released a new one, right? Which has got a whole bunch of great stuff. And the technology that this new one, right, Savar, that we just got into, and we're still buying, right? What we're doing is anytime we hit these big trades, we're taking a little bit of that money and buy a little bit more of the weed plays. And that's how you should be doing it if you're a trader. That's how you build a nice little weed portfolio without taking any money out of your pocket, right? Woo, smoke weed every day. I've always wanted to say that in public without getting arrested. So that's what's going on with marijuana right now, Savar. So that's I know I keep mispronouncing your name, stupid American. Sorry, but with regards to that marijuana plays, it's there's a lot of things going on right now that are close, and with Canada legalizing it, I mean, we just be patient. We talked about that in the beginning of the show, right? Being patient. Patience is one of the best attributes you can have. You're in the group, Savar. Today, I mean, I think we put out one post, right? One little information post. And the rest of the time, it's just patience. Just patience. We're going to make the big gains. We always do. So, look, gang, I know. I was getting a little off script there, Marco. But it's really, marijuana is a fun industry. For us that are in the age range that I am, I'm about 57, 58 years old. Yes, Sana, 1 second, and I'll talk about that real quick. I remember a time when marijuana was like considered like PCP and stuff. You young millennials don't remember because the TV wasn't your babysitter like my generation. But after school, you ran home after school because they always had the ABC after school show and stuff like that. And a lot of times it was about marijuana, right? Somebody smoked marijuana, they freak out, jump out the window or something. And that's how the adults looked at marijuana back then. Of course, we were all kids smoking it and we knew it wasn't what they thought. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you'd be sitting there talking to an adult and they'd be telling you all that it's like PCP. You're going to freak out and you're stoned at the time, right? But that whole image, and that's the biggest thing I tell to the younger traders, that you have to understand that with marijuana, it's not just introducing this profitable sector. It's about changing this whole image about it, right? Marijuana was just really for a long time looked at as this evil gateway drug to all these other things. Look, if you're going to classify marijuana as a gateway drug, well, guess what? Bud Light is too, right? So is Bud Light. Think about it. Any hard drug users probably drink too, don't they? So how come we're not making Budweiser illegal? You can actually drink a certain amount of Budweiser, go drive a car, and if they pull you over, as long as you didn't drink too much, you don't get a ticket. How's that? So That's what it is with the marijuana. It's changing an image, and that's what's happening. You can see it even in Trump's administration, right? It's like Trump's kind of open-minded and stuff. He's all about money, right? If it makes money, it makes money. But like Sessions is stuck in those 1950s. And you can see it, right? And coffee is a gateway drug. Absolutely. You know what I mean? It has addicting characteristics, you know? If you drink a lot of coffee and you stop drinking coffee, you'll start getting headaches and stuff. I just fixed my hair here since we're running along. But you're absolutely right. Coffee is a gateway drug. But let's start winding on the show. And I want to answer this from Sana because everybody knows that we're in Honolulu. We are actually on Oahu, which is where Honolulu is. And, oh, God, yes, Marco. Sorry to interrupt, but sugar too, you know. So are we going to make all this stuff illegal? But we are on Oahu, which is just east or west of the Big Island. Now, the Big Island is where the volcano is. There's huge volcanoes on the Big Island, active volcanoes, but one of them is erupting. It's covered about 9 square miles of land. About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, it made contact with the ocean. It's created, I think, what were they saying? 25 acres of new land, something like that. But if you guys get a chance to Google it, it's kind of interesting. If you're a science buff, it's fun. The only thing we're experiencing in Honolulu right now is the wind is shifted a little bit, and we get a thing called fog. Fog is Hawaii's own special version of smog. And what it is the sulfur and that stink from the volcano gets in the air. It gets real thick. You can hear it in my voice. This morning, the fog's pretty bad, and I'm one of those people that when the fog's bad, my voice gets raspy, my eyes get red. It looks like I've been smoking pot, right? But I haven't. But there's a thing called fog, and it's been lingering just south of the islands, right offshore, because the wind has been light southerly winds. Now the winds are kind of shifting, and it's pushing it over the islands, and that's really the only effect. Now on the Big Island, they've lost about, I think it's 200 homes or something like that, and the volcano is still going pretty strong. So, you know, the civil defense and the states working against that, working to help those people. But as far as Honolulu's only the fog. People are saying they feel earthquakes, but I don't know. I haven't felt any earthquakes. They had a couple big ones though. They're waiting for like I said, the science of this is so interesting. If you guys get a chance to Google it and go have some fun and read about it, because it's a science lesson in progress, which is very rare, right? So go have some fun with it. But you know, you've got the cone to the volcano and the lava rises and lowers. So evidently when it lowers, that's because it's about to blow. And that happened about 2-3 weeks ago. And it was kind of fun because the scientists said, hey, we're expecting an explosion. I think they had a 5.3, 5.8 earthquake in the cone. And then that was the explosion. And so, you know, we're learning a lot as people about volcanoes and things like that. Some poor guy lost his leg. One little molten lava hit his leg. And it's weird. It just, the whole leg, just, wow. So frightening. But as far as the volcano situation, we are safe in Honolulu. You know, yeah, right. The new strain of pot, Honolulu Fog. It makes you raspy. But you know, look, you see what we're talking about here with the marijuana. It's become a fun subject. It's a neat thing. You know, and with Savar mentioning the strain, you know, it's even guys like me. I grew up in Hawaii, so I've been around pot all my life. You know, Maui Wowie and all that stuff. There's legendary names based on our areas. But you know, it's I've never seen it be as fun. I've never seen it be as educational. If you really get serious about it, and you go read about the CBDs and all this stuff. It's really an amazing thing. The science behind it, the medical advances behind it. It's a great thing all around, and the image is starting to change. And you see, we actually can in public make jokes about it and stuff like that without being losing our reputation. So, and Marco, you're right. Sugar's addicting. Savar, you're right. Coffee's addicting. Soda's addicting. Right? Of course, it's loaded with sugar, and caffeine. So with a Coke, and you think about it, right? Why isn't Coke outlawed? Why isn't soda not cocaine, Coca-Cola, right? Why isn't Coca-Cola outlawed? It has two of them. It has about 30 gallons of freaking corn syrup in every can and caffeine, right? Which are both terrible for your health. I say as I swig down some good Kona coffee. One thing about it, Sana, you were asking about the volcano. Unfortunately, most of your coffee fields are over on the Big Island, man. So we're waiting to see how this affects the state economically. We're starting to get initial reports and stuff, but we're waiting to see because there is some serious damage. It's not slowing down yet. But if you get a chance to go look at the pictures and stuff, amazing pictures. And here's the other thing too. And if you're planning a vacation to Hawaii, you should still come. It's not gonna affect your vacation. It's not gonna put you in harm's way or anything like that. Okay, so please, for the visitor industry of the state I love so much, if you're planning on coming on vacation, don't let that volcano deter you. Actually, it should bring you because you want to, they close to the action. I don't know. The state tells you don't go around it, but hey, who listens to the state? Anyways, so gang, I think that's a pretty good show for today. If anybody else has any questions, you guys fuel up on a little knowledge, man. Marco, for you guys getting here late. We're starting a little discussion on interest rates and trade and debt. So we'll talk about that over the coming week. And of course, we're in the pot plays. If you viewers that aren't with the service, aren't in pot, go find some good stocks and get yourself. And then here's the other thing. Don't just buy one pot stock. Why would you do that? There's so many different ones. Buy two or three. Find two or three of your favorites. And just like we're doing within the service, right? About 5-6 months ago, we talked about the first pot play we started accumulating. And then we just 2 weeks ago released another one. And then we're looking at one more. Diversity is always good in your portfolio. So, and that includes sectors. It's just like if you think the biotechs are going to move, you either buy the biotech ETF. Unfortunately, there's no real pot ETF right now, or we'd be taking a good look at that. We love ETFs. But it's just like the biotechs. If you're not going to buy the ETF and just buy the whole sector, you find two or three nice ones and you invest in those. And that's how you build a nice, diverse, big gains portfolio, trading for the stocks. And Savar, we haven't forgot you on the Covered Calls talk. We're preparing something because we want to make this right, so everybody understands. And we want to kind of share the non-proprietary information with the show viewers. So look, gang, Savar, thank you very much. Thank you too, Hana or Sana. Thank you. I'm sorry. It's Samuel's visiting family and I'm thinking of his sister's name, but thank you. Thank you all. Marco, all you guys that show up every day, thank you so much. Please spread the word around. Let's the more the merrier on the conversation. We'll continue that interest rate discussion tomorrow. We ran a little bit long today. We like to go about 30 minutes. We're about 45 minutes now. So if you're tuning in and watching the show later, please tune in. We try to start right about half an hour. Oh, there is Kahuku. There you go. Tala. We affectionately call her Tala, Talagu. Ahoy is from the North Shore. You guys know the Tala. But hey, you guys, thank you for showing up for the show. Tala will tell you, really we don't get any effect from the volcano over here on Oahu. Tala's on Oahu too. Your big cities are on Oahu. Your Honolulu, Waikiki, all that stuff are on Oahu. But she'll tell you, really the only thing affecting us right now is the VOG. That's why my voice is like this. Oh my God, the VOG really beats me up. But thank you. Marco, thank you. We're going to call it a show, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.